Hello everyone, how you guys are doing? I hope you guys are doing great. Welcome to another exciting tutorial. In the first part of this tutorial series, we learned how to model a 3D bottle. In the second part, we learned how to add light, environment and material. Today, we'll add water inside the bottle, create a water material and also design a sticker for the bottle. So let's get started. Since I want to model a liquid surface inside the bottle, I'll select the bottle and press Water key to isolate it so only the bottle is visible. I will switch to perspective view by pressing the P on the keyboard. Next, I will turn off the Turbosmooth modifier and start selecting the center vertex inside the bottle. Keep in mind only the inner part, not the outside part. If I press Z after selecting the vertex, it will focus on the selection. Now, holding the Ctrl key, I will select the polygon selection mode. This will select all the polygons around the selected vertex. And now press grow multiple times to expand the selection until it covers the area where the water will be. You can press Alt X anytime to see the selection in X-ray mode. You can use the shrink button to decrease the selection too. Once the desired area are selected, we can go back to the object mode and duplicate the object. To do that, go to Edit, then Clone, or you can simply press Ctrl V to clone, or you can press and hold Shift key and move in any axis, which will clone the object too. I'm going to select Copy from the Clone option. Now I will detach the selected polygon to separate them. The selected polygon is now a separate object, which I will use to create the water surface. Delete the cloned object, select detached object, and I will center it by right-clicking on the position value spinner. Let's call this object water. Next, I will apply a push modifier. This helps to slightly shrink or expand the mesh. I will set a small push value around 0.1 so the water mesh sits slightly inside the bottle. If you notice any shading issue, like here the black areas are outside of the bottle and the inner side is properly shaded, this is because of inverted normal and this is a problem. And we can fix this by adding a normal modifier which will correct the surface direction. Next, I will add an edit poly modifier. Double click to select the border, then press and hold the Shift key and scale inward multiple times. It will extrude the border and fill up the opening. After getting close enough, while the border is still selected, hold down the Ctrl key and click on the vertex selection mode. This will convert your border selection to vertex selection, which you can check and confirm by the information shown here. See, it says 16 vertex is selected. It might feel like it is just one vertex, but in reality 16 vertices are there. And we're going to weld this 16 vertex to just one vertex. To weld 16 vertices to one, click on the option box of the weld button. You can notice it was 641 before the welding, and after welding it is just 626 vertices, meaning the rest of the vertices are merged into one vertex. You can increase or decrease the weld threshold value to control the radius of the weld area. Now if I move the vertex, you can see it is just a single vertex. Next, I will apply Turbosmooth modifier to smoothen the mesh and increase the Turbosmooth iteration. The Turbosmooth result is too bad here. We have to control the Turbosmooth for better result. So I will disable the Turbosmooth modifier, activate edge selection mode, select one edge, use ring to select all the similar edges around the object. Now press connect to add an edge loop, then move it upward using the slide value to better control the Turbosmooth smoothness. We can increase the iteration value and activate the isoline display to see less edges. Let's deactivate the Turbosmooth modifier again. Select one edge and then press ring. Now convert to polygon selection. Now move upward. Let's scale this edge loop and activate the Turbosmooth to have the desired result. Now the surface is looking more like a water surface and the water is pulled at the border of the water surface. Next, we can modify the water surface and make a ripple effect. Once you are happy with the result, press Alt-Q to stop the isolation mode. Select the camera and then press C to switch back to camera view. Since we have created the water surface from the glass object, currently the water surface also gets its material from the glass material. I'll create a new Arnold standard surface material and name it water. Assign it to the water mesh. For the water material setting, set the transmission to 1 for transparency. Now the water surface is looking less transparent. It is because of the roughness of the specular. Set the specular roughness to 0 for clear water. Adjust the IOR to 1.333, which is physically accurate for water. If you see black areas in the render, slightly move the water mesh upward to avoid the overlapping with the bottle mesh, which cause the shading artifact. See, now the artifact is gone and the water is looking good and crystal clear. Let's add some color to the glass bottle itself. I'll pick a blue tone and adjust the depth value to control how strong the color appears. Larger values like 10 will make the color tint effect more subtle, while smaller values will make the tint effect stronger. For example, setting it to 3 or 5 gives a nice subtle tint. For this tutorial, I'm going to keep the depth value to 1. We can always change the color anytime we want. If we decrease the depth value even further, the tint effect will become stronger. But for now, I will keep it at 1 for this tutorial. To make the glass more realistic, I will add dispersion by setting the dispersion value to 1. This creates slight color separation in the refraction, which will make the render even more realistic. You can adjust it depending on how strong you want the effect to be. If you increase the dispersion value, the effect will be more subtle. If you decrease it, the effect will be more stronger. Now let's add a color code layer to enhance reflection. Set clear code to 1. For stronger reflection, set clear code roughness to 0. But if you want some softness in the reflection, which I want to, I'm going to keep it around 0.1 for a more natural look. I'm going to add underlaying roughness to 0.5, which will blur the reflection a bit. Next, we need to create a sticker for the bottle, right? So now let's model that. First, I will stop the render view and minimize both the render and the material editor windows. Then I will switch from the camera view back to perspective view. Since I only need the bottle to 3D model the sticker surface, I will select the bottle and press Alt-Q to isolate it, so only the bottle remains visible. Now I will hold Shift and drag it to the right to create a copy of the bottle. For the sticker, I only need the outer surface. Select one edge and press ring to select the similar edges and then connect to create just one loop cut. Use slide value to move the loop cut upward or downward if required. I will switch to edge selection mode. Select one edge, press ring, and while holding Ctrl key, I'm going to switch to polygon selection to convert the edge selection to polygon selection. Once selected, I will detach this section to separate it as a new object. Let's remove the bottle. Now that it's detached, I will right-click on the position value to center the object. At this point, both objects are overlapping each other, so I can apply the push modifier to the sticker object. Now increase the push value. You will see it moves slightly outward. We only need a very small positive push here, just enough to lift it slightly from the bottle surface. Finally, to smooth out the surface, I will apply a Turbosmooth modifier. Now I'll press Alt Q again to exit isolation mode and bring back all the other objects in the scene. Next, I can select the camera and press C to switch back to camera view. Then I can start the render preview to check everything is correct. As you can see, the detached shape is now clearly visible outside. This will be our sticker. Now let's apply a material to the sticker. I can right click and create a new material. Arnold surface, then standard surface. Since the sticker object is already selected, right-click and choose Assign Material to Selection to apply the material directly. For the sticker, we'll need a texture. We're going to use this image for the sticker texture. Drag the texture output to the base color slot. For some reason, we're not seeing the texture on the model yet. To fix that, let's minimize all the windows. Apply a UVW modifier to the sticker object and right away the texture appears on the surface. At this point, I can rotate or scale the texture to fit it better, right? By default, it is set to planar mapping, but since our bottle is cylindrical, we will switch the mapping type to cylindrical. Next, I will adjust the length, width and height. In this case, I will set it to 12. Now I need to rotate the mapping to align it properly. To make the rotation easier, I can switch to local transform and rotate it by 90 degrees. Drag the gizmo upward if required. As you can see, it is a bit off because the rotation was in the wrong direction. So I'll rotate the opposite way to fix the orientation. Once it's properly aligned, I can also scale the texture to fine-tune its position. Finally, I can rotate in the Z-axis to display exactly the part of the texture that I want to use as the sticker. Now we have one more problem. We don't want to keep the white background of the sticker, right? To remove it, we'll need to use something called an alpha map. Let me explain it how it works. In the alpha map, the area we want to visible should be white and the area we want to hide should be black. So it's simply a black and white image. Now I will drag the alpha map into the material editor. Next, I will double click on the sticker material to see all of its parameters. Scroll down until you find the opacity slot. I simply drag the alpha map into the opacity map input and that's it. As you can see, the white background has now been cleanly cut out and we are left with just the sticker shape. If I click on it, you can even see through the material where it is transparent. However, sometimes you won't see this update immediately in the Arnold render viewer. To fix that, turn off the continuous rendering option for a moment and then restart the render preview. Now everything works perfectly and we can see the proper transparent sticker is applied to the bottle. Now I can feel there's still a bit of fine-tuning we can do with the UV mapping. I will scale the sticker vertically a little to make it fit better and position it more interesting spot on the bottle. Also, if we want to make the sticker reflective, it is very easy to do. The reflectiveness depends on the specular roughness value in the material. If we set the specular roughness to 0, the sticker will become fully reflective, giving it a nice shiny look. And that's pretty much it. We have now reached the end of today's tutorial. In this session, we learned how to model a 3D bottle, then render it using Arnold in 3D Studio Max. As you saw, it is actually quite simple once you follow the steps. We also created the water inside the bottle, added the cap, and finally applied a custom sticker to the bottle too. If you want to render the final result, just stop the interactive renderer, turn off the crop region, and hit play. And your full scene will be rendered easily. That's all for today's tutorial. I will see you in the next video. Until then, take care and good night.